Hey guys, what's going on? This is going to be a character spotlight on Blooming Dash Blade Dancer. Very specifically, this is Blooming Dash Blade Dancer version 2.0. I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I'll explain in a second. I have a lot of thoughts on this, so this video is going to encase all of the basics of Blooming Dash Blade Dancer, and then in my second video that I'm going to post, like directly right after this one, that video is going to show you where it can be, like in the current 21.0 meta. Because I think that I have finally figured out a way to make this work. Not completely successfully, but I will always try to push for Blade Dancer to be in the meta, because I love this card and it is my only max legendary. I have been playing it forever, and as soon as they dropped talents for it, apparently 6 months ago, I immediately maxed it out. It was my first max legendary. It is still my only max legendary. I immediately maxed out the talents the day of. This was 6 months ago, and within like a couple of weeks, that's when I realized that Blooming Dash just... I did a video 6 months ago. It's titled Blooming Dash Just Changed Blade Dancer Forever, and it's because it did. And if you are still playing Floral Frenzy Blade Dancer, it's because you have no idea how to run this version of the deck, and so I am here to explain it, because I have seen... I've played against more Floral Frenzy Blade Dancer decks than I would have thought, because Blooming Dash is so much better. So this is going to be an entire basics video. It's going to have, if you already know how to play Blooming Dash Blade Dancer, you can probably just skip to the other video. But if you want all of my thoughts on the basics, here it is. So the way that Blooming Dash works, it's the right side talent. This is the setup that I always use. It goes right, right, left, and then the max. The way that Blooming Dash works, it no longer receives an attack speed boost when there are no other Blade Dancers nearby, and the way that it receives the attack speed boost is if you move it with a Portal Keeper. I'm pretty sure that if you move it with a Flicker in 21.0, I obviously don't have it. The Dragon Rift hasn't come back, but you could probably use Flicker to move it as well, and it would probably work the exact same way. I probably wouldn't recommend it, but whenever you move Blade Dancer, essentially it goes into dance mode for 30 seconds, increasing the attack speed by 220%. When it is not in dance mode, so when it is a non-active Blade Dancer and you move it, you obtain a flower. That increases the damage of all Blade Dancers by 1.5 up to 50 times, and then 0.5 after that. So essentially, unlike Floral Frenzy Blade Dancer, where the unit itself is getting a stack, you, the player, are getting stacks. And that is one of the main key differences between Blooming Dash and Floral Frenzy that makes it better. If your board with the Floral Frenzy gets completely bedlammed, or if one of your units dies that has 50 stacks, you lose all of that damage that you've stored up on a Floral Frenzy Blade Dancer. With Blooming Dash, because you're getting the stacks, you're obtaining all of these flower stacks that you're stacking. Because you are obtaining it, even if your board gets bedlammed, you will still have all of that damage. That damage will always be stored. It can't be taken away. So every time you move a Blade Dancer and you get a stack, you always have it, and it keeps going for as long as the game continues, which means that it, in and of itself, has a way to obtain infinite damage, as you progress through the game. So you're able to keep increasing your damage over the course of the game. So where monsters keep increasing their health, you would keep increasing your damage, and you can go further and further into the game, more than you would normally. Beyond that, because you are being forced to run Portal Keeper, another of the best features about this deck is that you are able to immediately cleanse anything. Because you are using... so my base setup is going to be... this is my base setup. I'm going to use a simplified version of this. I'm going to use Magic Amulet. Essentially, you're going to run Spear if you have Spear. I think Crit Bow is the next best for this deck. Enchant, or the Sword, the Night Sword, is going to be the third best. And then if you really don't have anything, you can run Sturdy Staff. Sturdy Staff is definitely the worst because you never need mana with this deck. You will basically get to a point where your entire field is basically stuck, and you'll just have to live off of that. But usually, if you do get stuck, you're in a pretty good position to where all you really want is to get Blazing Burned. You want one of your units to get leveled down, just so that you can keep rolling. But you'll see that in a second. So my basic version of this deck that I would run is this setup. You need the Harlequin, the Dryad, you need Portal Keeper, obviously, and then I would run as a basic card, a Trapper. So the difference between, in 21.0, the difference between using a Trapper or a Chemist is going to be based on your level. So at max level, with a max chemist, or a max level chemist, if you maxed out the mana power up and you had it at level 7, you would be doing 100% armor destruction. If you look at your Trapper, the number on the left is going to be the armor destruction per trap up to a maximum of the number on the right. So essentially what's happening is if you have a Trapper, that's mine is at level 10. If you have a Trapper out, each trap will do 47% armor destruction up to a maximum of 95. So essentially, if you have 2 traps on the field, you will be doing, and a monster steps onto 2 traps, it'll be doing 95% armor destruction, whereas a max chemist at level 7, by the way, will only do 100%. I say only because this number grows as it grows. And you can have now a maximum of 100 and, what is it, it's 95, 105, 115? Is that 120? 120%? 120% at max level. And essentially, if this number on your Trapper is bigger than 100, I would use Trapper over Chemist, specifically because Trapper has slow, and it's very difficult to get a Chemist to level 7, and that's the only way it's going to start to beat this. Yes, at lower level, a Chemist can get to higher than 47, but if you have 2 traps on the field and a monster steps on it, you're basically getting 100%, and it's just much easier. So that's why, as a base setup, this is what I would use. I would use a Magic Amulet, again, as a base setup. My advanced setup, for everybody wondering, is going to be this. It's going to be a growth tile, and I'm using Enchant Sword instead of Trapper. I'll explain all of that later. But as a basic setup, this is going to be my setup. To go through the other talents, Fencing with Giants is obviously the thing that you're going to be using because you have no reason to use Elegant Parry. Your Portal Keeper is constantly cleansing your Blade Dancer. It's cleansing it through everything. Dark Priest, King Pudding. You don't have a shield anymore, so it's not protecting you against Warlock or Tribunals. But basically, any effect. This includes Shaman. This includes Witch. When you get Shamaned, there's a debuff on top of you. If you get rid of the debuff, when you move it with a Portal Keeper, that gets rid of the debuff. So you can actually cleanse Shaman now. You can cleanse Witch. You can cleanse everything. And so essentially, this deck, with Bloom and Dash, you're getting basic infinite damage with the Portal, because you're forced to run Portal Keeper, you have, infinite protection, which means that you can run Fencing with Giants. Fencing with Giants is, when it's in dance mode, which will be all the time, you get 30% increased damage to bosses and mini bosses. This is just extra damage stacks. And then if you have the last talent, which is the Dance of the Wind, the Vortex, then you don't need to run Triple Lunge. And if you don't, you should probably run Triple Lunge, because one of the main problems of Blade Dancer that you'll realize if you're using it at less than max is that it doesn't do well against waves. You can very easily get overwhelmed by waves, at which point Triple Lunge will help you, but if you do have Dance of the Wind, the Vortex just wipes through waves. If you do have Dance of the Wind, you're going to want to run Serrated Blades to increase your crit chance by 5%. Your crit chance, you're doing so much crit all the time, or you want to do crit all the time. With a crit bow, which is why I have it, you're doing even better crits. You're doing even better crit damage. If you increase your crit chance with that, it's increasing that as well. And essentially, you're attacking so quickly that you will crit more often than you feel like you probably should. Essentially, you cannot run Scrapper, because you want to control all of the levels of all of your Blade Dancers at all times. You want them all to be, basically, you want them all to be the same level so that you can use Portal Keeper and continue moving and continue just rolling along. I'm going to play a floor 10 co-op. With just a random. And as soon as I find a match, I will get back to you. Okay, so we have a match here. We have Inspiration, which is good, because we can get all of our gadget tiles out. As you can see, I just moved this Blade Dancer, and it has the flower on the side. That indicates that it is in dance mode right now. Moving it right now would do nothing, and it would reset the count. Down here, you'll see that I have 1 count. That means you have 1 stack of a Bloom and Dash stack. The other great thing about being able to use Portal Keeper in this deck is that you can actually copy your Blade Dancers, and then you can get rid of the Harlequin debuff by moving it, and get the stack, and get the extra power, and the speed, and everything. So I have 4 tiles here that I'm going to want to build on. I'm actually going to merge out these trappers. I don't need early game trappers, but I do need higher level things just in general. Basically, you're going to want to use all of your Harlequins on all of your Dryads, because you need a lot of Dryads. I'm going to be a good player and not use this. As soon as your guys are off cooldown, you're going to want to move them all the time. Because that is how you are going to gain all of your stacks. I actually don't even need to summon in. I have so many things to do right now on the field. So I'm going to go through them. I have the level 11 Dryad talent, which means I'm running Fairy of Rage, giving my... every single time I use a Fairy of Rage Dryad, I'm getting 2.5%, up to 20 times. When I upgrade... when I use a mana power-up, it gives a a random fairy that doesn't already have the Fairy of Rage Dryad a fairy, and then it also gives, it has a chance to give a second thing a fairy as well. So I'm going to use that. It gave it to this one and this one. If I use it one more time, it just gave it to this one, and I'm going to use all of those, right now. So here's a 2. I'm going to move these. Again, early game, you really don't need any of these, the trappers. So I'm going to merge this out. I'm going to combine the 2 dryads and then make this a 3 because I'm trying to make all the ones that are on tiles 3s. I'm going to use summon in here. I don't need this amount of portal keepers, so I can also merge that out. Now that I have 2 Fairy of Rage dryads, 2 dryads that don't have Fairy of Rage, I can upgrade. I'm actually going to merge out a couple of these Blade Dancers. The reason being is I don't necessarily want to upgrade from 1s to 3s like I just did right there. If you can get a level 2, Blade Dancer, it's much better to use a level 2 Dryad onto a level 2 to get a level 3, as opposed to running through a bunch of level 1 Dryads. Level 1 Dryads. If you can merge into level 2s, it's just much better, because you can save on Dryads. Right here, I'm going to merge these 2. I'm going to merge these 2. I actually, at this point, don't even need these 2. And if anything, I'd rather have this level 3. Because again, like, I can copy the level 3. And then as soon as I move it, the debuff goes away. I'm going to combine these 2 and make this a 3. I can resummon in. Again, I don't need these 2 portal keepers. And I'm going to copy all of the Blade Dancers here. I'm going to use my last 700 to get all of the Fairy of Rages. I'm going to make this a 3. I'm going to make this bottom one a 3. And then you want to just keep, as soon as you can, you want to just keep moving all of your Blade Dancers. Because I have so many Dryads here, I'm going to make this one a 3 just by combining out. Again, I don't need these 2 trappers, so I'm going to merge in. Right now I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You'll notice that they're now blue. That means that you have the maximum amount of Blade Dancers, because every Blade Dancer that you have on the field adds to damage as well. It's just one of those hidden Blade Dancer things. It's kind of like Engineer, like when engineers are touching each other, or when they're next to each other. They have increased damage. When you have 7 Blade Dancers, I believe the maximum is 8. Don't quote me on that. But usually when you get to 7, you get this little blue tint. And right there, I got Virused. I was able to immediately move it. And again, that's one of the benefits of having Blade Dancer, or Bloom and Dash. With the regular Floral Frenzy Blade Dancer, when you're running Elegant Parry, it's not as efficient because it's all random what cleanses. With Bloom and Dash, you have a direct choice to immediately cleanse something. Right here, your natural instinct might be to copy a Dryad. when in fact you can actually upgrade this and then change it into anything that you need. Currently, I could go for another Blade Dancer here, or what I could do is I can actually get another Portal Keeper and move Blade Dancers quicker. If you are going up against Shaman, I would recommend having at least 2 Portal Keepers. It just makes you feel safer. When you move something, if they Shaman you right now and you only have the one that's on cooldown, you won't be able to move it quick enough. Sometimes if you get double Shamaned, or maybe you're getting Blazing Burned and Shamaned, or Witched and Shaman, right? You can get multiple things. If you know that they're playing if you know that they're playing Shaman, or something that affects your board, Witch, Shaman, or anything of like that. Sometimes even kind of a sharpshooter. You want to have at least 2 Portal Keepers at all times. With this King Pudding, we are going to get King Pudding, and we can immediately cleanse, and that is basically the best advantage of Blooming Dash. I'm going to upgrade my Trapper here. These stacks go infinite. You can have an infinite amount of stacks as the game progresses. So over the course of the game, you just keep getting stronger and stronger. I'm actually going to summon in here. I have a tile over here that I want to try to maximize out here. So I'm getting kind of stuck here. I can merge these out. And at this point, I don't need this amount of... Actually, you know what? I'm going to summon in. Always summon in if you're not completely sure what to do. If there's not an obvious answer for what you should do, always summon in to give yourself more options. So right here, I could basically go for a couple of more trappers, and that's pretty much my only board problem right now. I obviously don't want this one, and this 2. Those are all awkward numbers. So I'm actually going to merge out these 2 Portal Keepers. I was hoping for a Trapper, but that's fine as well because I do have this awkward level 4. Technically, if I upgrade this, I can copy it. Again, it's just another reason why Harley Quinn is so good in this deck. It gives you anything that you specifically need when you need it. Like if you need more Portal Keepers, you can copy a Portal Keeper. If you need more Dryads, you can get more Dryads. If you need more Blade Dancers, you can copy a Blade Dancer. Essentially, if you are just starting, this is basically the board setup that I would recommend. This took me pretty far. Just getting to 3s, just getting to a field of 3s, will do you pretty well. And just having like a couple of trappers, you don't need to go crazy. Just like a couple of them, and then just like fill your board with Blade Dancers. I believe 7 is the number of where you get bonus damage per Blade Dancer. And then you stop getting Blade Dancer, bonus Blade Dancer, or all of your things stop getting bonus Blade Dancer damage. But if you do have more Blade Dancers, you're obviously also getting more damage, which I have now figured out and that I'll talk about more in my advanced video. That's gonna be next. But essentially, this is all you have to do. You're just looking for any of these to go back down to 0, and then you're just moving Blade Dancers. The fact that you don't have to worry about cleansing is one of the main benefits of this of running Blooming Dash. And it's why it's one of the main reasons why I like it, because you're not forced to run things like Mermaid, you're not forced to run Elegant Parry, You're not forced to run the cleanse on an enchant sword, and because you're not, you don't have to run all of these support things that cleanse. You can run full damage things. Another benefit is if you are running Gadget, and your Gadget is a level 15, you will eventually start to get gold tiles. Because you are running a deck that wants to use basically any of the squares, you can actually actively use all of your squares. In a Inquisitor deck, if your squares don't line up perfectly, sometimes you don't want to use all of the squares that you have, like your amulet squares. With Floral Frenzy, if you had a Blade Dancer, even in a Floral Frenzy deck, sometimes you're not using all the squares, and even if you got additional squares with your level 15 Gadget, sometimes you didn't set it up this way, and maybe you went with the other setup, and then you would never be able to use the square. With Blooming Dash, you can use every single square. Being able to cleanse, if you have at least a level 9 if you have at least a level 9 Blade Dancer, being able to have a deck that has the ability to increase its own damage over the course of the game, cleanse, and cleanse. It's just two of the biggest benefits in this game that a lot of decks struggle with. A lot of decks very early on don't have a lot of good cleanse. Some decks don't even attempt to cleanse. And if you have at least a level 9 Blade Dancer, I would highly recommend getting Blooming Dash as your talent and playing this. Because it fixes a lot of problems that a lot of people don't even try to fix. They'll play like a Demon Hunter deck, and essentially what will happen is when they get King Pudding, or if they hit a boss that's, like a problematic boss, like a Dark Priest, they will then lose the very next round. But because you're constantly cleansing, and because you're constantly increasing your damage over the course of the game, just inherently, without like a level 11 talent, a level 13 talent, a level 15 talent, all of those talents, all of those bonus talents, by the way, are not giving you anything extra. They're just increasing your damage. So not only are you getting a level 11 better damage Blade Dancer, but you're also getting 30% more damage. Not only are you getting a level 13 damage Blade Dancer, but you're also getting a 5% crit chance to do more damage. Not only are you getting a max level, maxed out, Blade Dancer, but you're also getting an AoE, like one of the best AoEs in this entire game. And so realistically, a level 9 Blade Dancer will take you just really, really far. Much further than most other level 9 basic things of the same like legendary status. And then it just gets better as you keep going. But yeah, that's basically the basic version of a Blade Dancer deck. Make sure you keep all of your levels the same. You don't necessarily need to go above 3s or 4s. Even in my advanced setup, I don't really go above 4s, and I output a lot of damage. But yeah, like if you don't have an enchant sword that's at least a 13, I would run Trapper. If you don't really have a high level Trapper, I would run maybe a Chemist. Probably a Chemist. Because in the early game, if you're not getting to double bosses, you need the more damage to get to double bosses. So either run Trapper or run Chemist. Chemist will be much harder, and I think Trapper, even at low levels, is probably just good because it's easy to use. And if you can get to double bosses and you don't have a level 13 enchant sword, I would run a sharpshooter so that you can start stunning their field. But yeah, if you feel like you want the advanced version, I will see you in